Hey everybody, Dr. Nick here on Feel Good Friday. Today I'm going to teach you how to properly engage your abs and tighten your core, and also explain what that even means. You may have heard that, tighten your abs, tighten your core, but what does that mean? Let's take a look at the anatomy and I'm going to show you. So your abdominals can be broken up into two main groups, the inner muscles and the outer muscles. The outer muscles are your rectus abdominis, which is the big six-pack muscle that runs from your ribs and down onto your pelvis, and also your obliques, so your internal obliques and your external obliques. Let's talk about the function of these muscles. The rectus abdominis, when it contracts, it's going to cause movement. It's going to bring the rib cage and the pelvis closer together, and it's going to round your lower back. Your internal and external obliques are going to twist your spine. Okay, they're going to cause that twisting movement. The outer abdominal muscles also contribute to stabilization, but they play a big role in movement of the spine. The inner muscles are the diaphragm, the transverse abdominis, and the pelvic floor muscles. So the diaphragm sits right under your rib cage here and kind of covers the abdominal cavity from the top. The transverse abdominis runs in a circle around your midsection like this and kind of acts like a corset to your abdominal cavity. And your pelvic floor makes up the bottom of this cavity. So it's kind of enclosed by these deep abdominal muscles. Their main job is stability. They want to prevent movement. So in order to engage those deep abdominal muscles, we have to contract them differently than we would if we were to contract the outer muscles of our abs. In order to contract your transverse abdominis, you want to think about walking into a cold pool or cold water, and that water is just coming up to your belly button. That feeling that you get when everything tenses up, that's your transverse abdominis kicking in. Also, your pelvic floor, the way you contract your pelvic floor is by pulling up in your pelvis, almost like you're holding in gas or urine. We want to activate the deep core muscles before we do a squat, a deadlift, or any kind of movement throughout your day. We don't want to be contracting the outer muscles. Let me show you the difference of what that looks like. So if I'm preparing for a squat and I contract my rectus abdominis, right, the big outer six-pack muscle, this is what's going to happen. Right, my back is going to round and my ribs and my pelvis are going to come closer together. So this is me engaging my abs the wrong way. Right? I'm still contracting my abs, but that's not what we want before we do a squat. What you want is, imagine that water, right, drifting up right to your belly button. That feeling, tighten that up. Don't hold your breath, but tighten it up. Find your neutral spine, right? So you don't want to be too anteriorly tilted like we've talked about, or posteriorly tilted. You want to find that neutral. Then lock that transverse abdominis in, and now we're ready to do our squat. So if I contract my transverse abdominis, this is what it's going to look like. Okay, so imagine that water is coming up and it's touching my midsection and it's cold. So now my transverse abdominis is locked in. That abdomen is very stable. My spine is very stable. And now I could perform my squat or my deadlift or any kind of movement. But when I contract my rectus and my obliques, watch how now there's movement that happens. Right? So we don't want any kind of movement when we want to be stable. We always want to stabilize that spine. So it's very important to realize that when you hear engage your abs, what we're talking about is that transverse abdominis. You want to engage that. You want to stabilize your spine. You don't want to be causing movement. You don't want to be crunching down while you're about to do a squat or a deadlift. When you properly engage that transverse abdominis and that pelvic floor and those deep core muscles, your lifts are going to get stronger and safer. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and we'll see you next time.